Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
This is what I sound like after 5 years.
You back, kid?
Why do I feel I still got you? 499, I was born again. 5 years later and I'm on again. Man, I think I'm born to win. Me broke, that's an oxymoron. Forget a bus, I bought a drop to Toron. G4 is what I saw on. You thinking I ain't hot, you're so wrong. Sorry for the prolong, but now life goes on. Long list of hits and it goes on. I wake up and I don't even feel like a star. And man, I'm getting $1 million a bar. Indeed, I need not take no lie. Man, y'all gon' make me cry. It's kinda eerie when you hear me. Your head stand up. Been a change of plan, rip your old plan up. Instead of hating, help me lift the big man up. Wake these people up and show them they keep dreaming. Breathe, stretch, shake.
Let it go.
Breathe, stretch, shake.
Let it go.
Wake these
That's how I like this one. $1 for real, bad boy.
Stretch, shake, let it go, breathe, stretch, shake, let it go. Some days I make
What you need to let go of is the dial, the keyboard, whatever, because you were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Mase. Let's go. Breathe, stretch, shake, let it go. That's from Mase's second album, right? Third. Okay, third. Listen, I liked Mase. Mase was my guy.
Do you remember that song where he was like, see, the difference with me, what I do, but I'm doing it like I'm doing it for TV. Ding, ding.
Come on,
ding.
Man.
That was the second album, right?
That was the second album? Okay,
Double up.
And that was when he was trying to, do the Harlem World thing and da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I remember that Harlem World album. Pretty cool.
Yeah, And his twin was in that, right?
Does he have a twin?
Or his sister or something.
Some relative.
Yeah, his sister
Blink
or
twin,
like somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, Harlem World, they had one song I think I liked, but...
Yep. It was that American, where it looked like they was in a circus video.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's about
cool
it.
Song.
Cool. So listen, Mase, unlike Joe Budden, has a second career now. He's a podcaster. Making a lot of money doing it too. He and Cam, Drake, come on now. Let's also, I forgot to mention this. Drake had his Apple Music OVO Sound show. Is that not in the same vein, Drake? Was it not? A little bit. Anyway, we're going to talk about Mase. It is what it is. It's highly entertaining. And as I mentioned, on maybe not every show, but on most shows, Cam has made an effort to ask Mase questions because Mase doesn't do a lot of interviews. And even when he does, he isn't necessarily going to open up to those interviewers like he would with Cam, who is someone he's known since high school. Obviously, they had the group together prior, them coming together now. So he can ask him questions and kind of dig around in ways that someone else may not be able to. And so in the most recent episode, right, Mase revealed his whereabouts the night that Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., lost his life. We know he lost his life when he was at the Peterson Auto Museum after party. Mase opted not to go to the party that night. I think that this is something that is pretty well known. He said, to stay at a hotel with a young lady and chill for the night. Rumor is the young lady was famous. We won't get into that. We kind of know who it was. If you think about the time period, it's not hard to put the dots together. Maybe. But that's another thing. What he did share is that the events of that night and what took place were the beginning of the end as far as his association with Bad Boy. And oh, by the way, because we've heard a lot of commentary about Gene Dial over the years, Gene Dial does pop up in this story. So we're going to listen to what Cam and Mase had to say about that night.
There's a bunch of questions. I had a hashtag Ask Mase. The night that Biggie Small died, Where were you and what did you do in the aftermath right after Biggie Small died?
Where was I? I was in a hotel. What people? That sounds like a Keefy D question.
No, they didn't say you was involved. They wanted I guess they knew everybody from Bad Boy was out there.
Oh, yeah. I was in the hotel. I was actually in a hotel with a young lady.
And when you heard this information, what was your next actions?
My next actions? After what?
When you heard Biggie died, did you stay in your hotel room? Did you leave out? Did you want to go back to New York?
I actually was trapped in a hotel.
Now I want to ask a question. What do you mean trapped?
It was about probably like 70 or so bloods in the hallway. I couldn't even leave my room.
How'd you get out?
One of the guys.
Why would it be 70 bloods in your hallway after Biggie Smalls died?
Actually, after Big got killed, they was probably looking for more Bad Boy artists. And I couldn't even leave the room till Gene Dill, the officer had to come get me.
Yeah.
I was left in LA. And from that day I always said, you know what, I'm out of here.
When you say you was left, what do you mean you was left?
Like I was
Who left you?
I came there with people. I didn't leave with those people. You know how I go.
My last question on this situation, because you must be saving this for the book. How did you eventually get out the hotel? Where did you go when Gene came to pick you up? How'd you get back to New York or the East Coast or wherever?
To my recollection, I think we had to go to Vegas or something like that to get back.
There you have it. That's where Mase was at, and that's what happened in the aftermath of Biggie Smalls' death.
So listen,
well,
we got info up here.
There's a lot there, right? There's a lot that Mase said. There was a lot that he didn't say. Him throwing out, this is a question for Keefy D. Of course, we know we've been seeing all this stuff swirling about Keefy D implicating Diddy in Tupac's murder. We've also seen 50 Cent throw out on Instagram, but we know 50's a troll. And I really want to know what his issue is with Diddy. I mean, I know that they're the obvious things, and maybe he thinks Diddy's an easy target, but he comes hardcore at Diddy a lot. 50 suggested that Diddy needed to lawyer up because the walls are closing in. So that's just something to think about. But when we come forward, we'll get more into Mase's comments and what he didn't say, what he kind of implied. Of course, we're going to get into Tia Mari's comments about how y'all need to back up and stop trying to place her in the past. And more trending topics and headlines. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like Biz Camp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms: irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you for rocking with us, VIPs. You know, the chat is the chat on YouTube is always bustling with commentary and additions. Tony Yayo says, all these 60-year-old dudes, Birdman, Jay Prince, still making percentages off Drake. I've always wondered why they are so defensive regarding Drake. I mean, you just said it. You know why. You're messing with our coins. And, I mean, listen, we know that there's a certain type of, I don't want to say street politics, because I don't necessarily know if it's that precisely, but there's a certain way that these types move throughout the industry. I actually used to work with Rap-A-Lot when I worked at Virgin back in the day, and that was an interesting experience. I don't have any direct J Prince stories or anything like that, but just the tone that was set overall. It's a different type of situation when you're dealing with sort of those types that, discipline by the inch, for lack of a better term. So we'll have to see how that all evolves. Pretty Brown Mimi, shout out to Pretty Brown Mimi, always keeping it lit in the chat. She says, how old is Birdman and when are he and Toni Braxton getting married? I know it's their business. Listen, I don't know if they're still engaged. I don't think that they are. I always thought that was crazy not crazy, let me not say crazy. I thought it was interesting that he and Toni hooked up. Just thought it was. I see why she was his type. I'm just curious on, Toni and her thought process in that. But I'm sure he was very charming. And I'm sure he was very affectionate, gave a lot of gifts. There are a lot of celebrity women that I have heard, I'm saying this in quotes, baby spread his charms to. Andy?
I guess he wasn't man enough.
Maybe. They also asked how old Birdman was. Birdman is 54. So, listen, Pretty Brown Mimi also says, while Mase really shared some things, bloods in the hallway of the hotel sound scary. There are some people on social media saying that Mase is capping just a little bit. Not sure. But, there was a lot. The city was hot at that time. You have to remember, this was 6 months after Pac had passed away. So no telling what was going on, As far as, Tony Yayo says, lots of nervous laughter in that clip. I mean, it was, it was. And lots of, let me choose my words carefully. I want to share with you. I want to be transparent. However, I am choosing my words carefully. So we'll see. Maybe Mase will write a book. Maybe he will continue to open up on these things. Certainly, everyone's going to be watching that Keefe D situation to see what evolves from it, what type of information comes from that situation. You know, hey. So before we get into the next, well, it is a topic, but before we get into like Jada and those things, there are two stories that I'm supposed to talk about earlier, because obviously there's so much happening right now that I kind of skipped over. So we're going to circle back really quick. I want to talk about Kayla Nicole, Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend. So listen, she is in an interesting position. She and Travis have been broken up for quite a bit of time. She used to take a lot of social media heat about her relationship with Travis. Some black men said that she was selling out. You know, they would call her bed wench, those type of things. You know, she was the dream, the poster child for some women for, you know, interracial relationships, finding a white guy with swag that was balling out. They seemed to be a match. Kayla shared one time that seemed to imply that Travis didn't really trick on her like people think an NFL player should. Those weren't her exact words. That's not how she positioned it. But reading in between the lines, that's how people took it. And Travis had pushed back like, you know, yeah, I buy things, but kind of like, hey, within reason. Let's not be crazy here. All of that. We know that's probably not an issue with Taylor Swift. At any rate, people wanted to know what Kayla's thoughts were now that Travis is with this white blonde pop star. You know, seems a little different. What happened to once you go black, you never go back, right? We cheered when it was the reverse with Russell Wilson, where he didn't leave his wife for Sierra, but, you know, he stopped messing with white women and is now with a black woman. So, you know, some people were wondering, well, what's going on here, Andy?
Is this the most recent? This is the most recent ex of Travis Kelce, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
They were together for several years. She was, you know, on his arm with the Super Bowl. I know she modeled for Fenty. She's done some things. Pretty woman, black woman, obviously. And social media influencer. But people have been giving her heck. And the Swifties, you know, have been at her neck. She isn't one of the ones, like we heard Maya speak out, one of his older exes that he met on a dating show. She had a lot to say, but Kayla's kind of left it alone. So now she put out a video on her Instagram page kind of addressing what's been going on, but indirectly. The video is about some of the things that black women face. And we'll give it a listen. And then we got some questions to ask, because should she have addressed it in this way? Should she not have mentioned anything at all? What does this really have to do with black women? I mean, on one hand, I understand black women in the media, especially when we're dealing with this kind of stuff, we always are going to get the brunt of these situations. We are going to be looked at in a more negative light. But really, Kayla, not that anything you said is wrong, but part of me feels like it was an overreach to be positive about some stuff. I'm not mad at what she has to say. I just don't know if it was necessary, but we're going to see. Check it out.
Hey guys, Kayla here. It's always been really important for me to use my platform not to create division, but to elevate and unite women, black women specifically. So I prepared a letter and would like to share it with you today. Dear Black girl, they may call you a traitor for falling in love. You'll hope the ones closest will protect you, but you will quickly find out that people don't protect what they don't value. They'll say you're too much, too provocative, too boisterous, too outspoken, and in the same breath tell you that you're not enough, not successful enough, not wholesome enough, maybe not even intelligent enough. They'll say you deserve the backlash and embarrassment. Because of your blackness, you should have known better. They'll even try to tie your value to your net worth. But Black girl, please remember your value lies elsewhere. Your value is deep within your heart, the way you love, the way you give. Your value is in your resilience, your willingness to forgive, the way you protect what means most to you, even if it hurts you along the way. And the way you stand up for what means most to you, even though they may not ever do the same. But Black girl, respectfully, let me stop you there because you don't have to participate in this tumultuous, often one-sided journey. Preserve your heart. Even when they try to quantify your character and test your boundaries, you do not have to engage. You do not have to respond because there is power in your silence. And you can use that same power to silence the noise and the self-doubt. Silence the voices within that want you to give in to this demoralizing and antiquated narrative. Tap into that power. Because I know, girl, the rage of the world is loud. But Black girl, your God is louder, and your tribe is stronger. Your blood runs deeper and is filled with strength, and when you finally find the strength to speak your truth, it is your voice that will help heal. Because Black girl, let me tell you, you're not in this alone. And even though sometimes I too ask, why me? I'm reminded that this isn't just about me. This isn't just my story, a singular experience. My truth, trauma, and vulnerability is a relatable part of the human experience. I know I'm not alone, and I want to make sure that you know you aren't either.
Okay.
On days where I feel most inadequate, I have to remind you.
So, not like that. No disrespect, Kayla. Very nice message. Very sweet message. A bit much. Not like that. I will tell you, I'm being a little funny, but I do think it was a little lengthy. Not from she shouldn't have said that and it wasn't a nice message or anything like that. Just girl. I'm just playing though. I'm for real, but I'm just playing. Like, what I'm saying is I do understand the importance and why she wanted to say that and why she wanted to put that out there. But at the same time, it's like, girl, you could have said all of that in a few less sentences.
Give it to us raw. Give it to us raw.
What I will say is that one of the things, especially early on in this conversation, well, in her letter, she mentioned not being supported by the person you love and defend the most. That struck a chord with me because she did take a lot of flack in her relationship with Travis. I don't know if that is who she was referring to in that moment, but it appeared that she was saying, you know, she supported them. She put herself out there for the slings and arrows and didn't get the same in return. We know that a lot of her own people, Black people, us, we're not nice to her sometimes just because, like she said, who she chose to fall in love with. We've obviously seen the reverse. That's going to happen. I feel like people give sometimes that far too much credence because so what? Keep it moving. But I do think that the implication here was that ultimately, maybe in hindsight, Travis wasn't the best boyfriend for her. He wasn't the most supportive. And, you know, now she is trying to take the high road and not address it. Like she said, your silence speaks volumes. I don't know if we're still in that era because she did make this video, but she didn't mention any names. Shout out to Pretty Brown Mimi. She said Kayla Nicole should stop talking about Travis and Taylor. To her credit, she hasn't said a word. This is as close as her commenting as we've had. And I do commend her for that because bump those people, you know? Bump all the commentary. What do you want me to say? Good for them. I mean, we're done and have been done for quite some time. So, I don't know. Andy?
I didn't know too much about Kayla Nicole. This is kind of like my first time hearing about her or whatnot. I guess just listening to her, I was just curious to know, why are you speaking to the Black woman? You know
and that's what I said. I think that, one, she was attacked a lot before this happened by people with, you know, some racist views, some unkind views. After this happened, when he hooked up with Taylor, as I mentioned, some of the Swifties started flooding her comments with stuff and, you know, comments on her aesthetic, how he stepped, just things, mean things, because people can be mean. So I think maybe one, trying to be positive, trying to say, how can I use this and address it, but not making it sound like I have sour grapes.
Understand.
So if I talk about the trauma, for lack of a better term, that Black women endure in high profile relationships, especially when the person leaves, especially when we're talking about a man of a different race, you know, I think that is the perspective that she was trying to take. But as I mentioned, realistically, this isn't a Black girl problem. And maybe you're trying to be encouraging, which I think you are, and I get it, but just kind of feels like I'm writing on the book, right? Writing on the book. When I say that, what I mean is there's a script, there's a plan that how we're supposed to do things. Like, I used to work in PR. So sounds like a PR person said, hey, we're going to shoot this video. You're going to put this out there. You're going to take this approach. That way, you've given some commentary of it, but you're taking the higher road and people will respect you more, right? And you don't look bitter. That's just what I think.
Do you think because, some of her peers who look like her, who was very critical of her while she was in a relationship with Travis, could it be maybe a little bit of, I don't know if overcompensation is the word, but, it's as if like she's trying to gain respect and credibility back, within the culture, so to speak.
I think she wants to be looked at as she is handling this like a grown woman. I think that there is definitely wanting to be unbothered, the appearance of such, which I can't be mad at her. Who? What you mean? What you talking about? That would be me in my approach. Or maybe some well-placed shots. I don't know. But I don't know if I would have done this whole ode to the black woman. But is there necessarily a bad time to tell black women to love yourself, that you have a tribe and to stand up? No. So, I can't be mad about it. Kendi in the chat says, I hope I'm saying that right, Kendi, just a result of decades of rhetoric claiming black men's worth is their net worth. It was only a matter of time before it ended up redirected to yourself. You talking about black women? Listen, black women are never valued, women really, for their net worth. Even if it's an important thing and you try to throw it out there like, I'm a boss. People ultimately really, especially when we're talking about dating conversations, don't care about that unless you're a wealthy or a higher wealth woman that is dating lower. Then they care about that. Like if you see your Mary J. Bliges and what they went through, your Sherry Shepherds, we've seen those type of situations. I don't know. Kendi also had jokes, said, yeah, Kayla turned into Maya Angelou. She did a little bit. She did. She was trying to touch you, make sure that you felt the emotion of what she was giving. She was giving you a little bit of spoken word because she wanted you to vibe with her. And remember, this is really about her and taking this moment to reintroduce herself to the world and get those social media follows up for that next endorsement deal. She is a social media influencer. So there's that. That's probably why she couldn't completely ignore the situation. When we come forward, we're going to get into Tia Mowry. She wants you people to back up too. All of these women standing up for themselves in one way or another, responding to what you think they should do with their love life. I told y'all about that unsolicited advice, didn't I? We'll have more on that when we come forward. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let it go, breathe, stretch, shake, let it go. I used to be the guy stood next to Diddy, crucified for bringing sex in the city. Even though the girls think I'm extra pretty, I know I ain't got no extra with me. Oh, with the fist tight flow, with a wrist like whoa. What if this might blow? Ain't no if I know I'm the man.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Washington, D.C., a vote to fill the House speakership is set for later this week. 2 candidates have stepped up. The vote could happen as soon as Wednesday, after 2 days of debate and meetings. Meantime, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Congress needs to work together to be ready to act on any requests for additional aid to Israel after Saturday's attack by Hamas. Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, the Black New York Democrat said his party has made it clear it's ready, willing, and able to work across the aisle. And former Speaker Kevin McCarthy is urging President Biden to refreeze $6 billion in Iranian funds. He blamed the White House for its prisoner swap with Iran and decision to unfreeze the money in exchange for freeing 5 wrongfully detained Americans. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
We boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Join LA Civil Rights and the Reparations Advisory Commission's Black Experience Study live this fall. Learn about the city's plans for reparations and join the study in real time. For more information and to register, visit laisforeveryone.com today.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or whether anyone cares about them.
But the reality is, 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis and giving them the support and tools they need to succeed in life. To learn more, go to covenanthouse.org today. Thank you for caring.
Only 1 in 5 people with autism are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work.
Maybe it's because employers don't know what kind of jobs they can do. Like, what about a programmer?
That's a job for someone with autism.
How about a healthcare worker?
Yep, that is too. People with autism can do a lot of different jobs, but often get overlooked due to outdated stigmas. Introducing WIN by Autism Speaks. We help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring.
What about a ranch hand?
To learn more, go to autismspeaks.org/win.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Look, cameo. That high top fade and that red cock piece that he rocked. This was about 84, something like that, right? 85. I was close. Let me tell you that obviously everybody loves Candy, Word Up. What else did they have in that time period? Single Life, bunch of other stuff. Cameo was that deal. But me personally, and it's, again, Saturday morning Soul Train music, clean up the house, roller skate, barbecues. Cameo, some of the early albums, like with Shake Your Pants and stuff like that. Those old school jams, I miss them. Forgot about Cameo. Is Larry Blackmon still living? Just random. Anyway, you are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, this is a show where we hit all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. And sometimes we're going to throw a pop culture history question at you just because. And Andy is always going to keep the playlist fire and always mix it up so that I can test my knowledge. Because, as I tell you all the time, I think I'm a walking music encyclopedia. And, you know, Andy's giving me a little bit like, yeah, sometimes I'm right more often than not. I got a lot of music knowledge.
You know, I'll give you the 80s and a lot of the 90s.
I don't know the new music. I don't know some of the underground new music artists. I mean, I know mainstream.
I mean, I played some certain songs.
What, are you talking about J-Rock?
but you know what, though? I'll give you a pass on that. That was a B-side cut on the album, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to expect you to know all of that, but, you know.
It's been some ones I missed?
Just a couple.
Okay. You know, we work on it. It's different now, like you said. Like, I don't know.
But you do have a wealth of knowledge. I will give you that, especially the L.A. hip-hop scene.
See?
The L.A. R&B scene. See? Hell, the L.A. just entertainment scene. You know, that was just a little bit before my time. You know, I was a toddler in diapers a lot of the time. So, you know, I can't say that I lived during those moments. You heard stories and stuff, but you definitely had some insight. So I will give you that for sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll take it. I will accept it. You know, we might work on our current music. I'm getting better. Andy's sharing. You know, that's what it's all about. You're sharing. You learn new things. You're introduced to new things.
But I got to be honest, though. I think I'm becoming a grandpa myself, too.
Are you really?
When it comes to a lot of these newer artists, I feel like I'm becoming out of touch as well, too. I find myself, you know, when I listen to, you know, my playlist or whatnot, I'm always hovering around the 90s and the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? I'll get to the 2010s, you know what I'm saying? Which I call the last of a dying breed.
I was going to say the 2010s were kind of not the hot stuff for music.
Well, I mean, you still have your Kendrick. You have your Kendricks, your J. Cole's, your Nicki Minaj's, J. Cole's, Wale's, Nipsey Hussle. You know, to me, that's the last of the dying breed.
I agree with you.
These new cats, no disrespect. I can't gravitate towards y'all. Yeah, I don't know.
We're going to see. We'll see what happens. I do, maybe not tonight. We might put a pin in this, but I have a Wale question for you. Because, I have a Wale question that I would love to ask you. I think you're a good person to ask it. But we're going to get into this Tia Mowry story. So we know Tia is divorced now. Tony Yayo, he already knows what I'm about to get into. He said Tia was a savage in that post. I'm not even her former dude, and I would feel a type of way. So this is what happened. Tia was on a talk show, a podcast perhaps, and she was discussing how dating in 2023 is very different from 20 years ago when she was single. She talked about how her ex courted her it just went a different way. And now it seems like the men that she's coming across just want her for sex. And, it's not the cool mix, right? And so fans, of course, hit back like, girl, you should have stayed where you were at. Girl, you need that old thing back or whatever. And Tia was like, step back, mind your business. Thank you very much. This is what she said. A word from me, since narratives are being made without my consent. Here it is, and only here. Just because the dating life is complicated doesn't mean I'm going to go back to something that no longer served me. That's like implementing, if I don't book an audition, a part as an actor, right, away, I'm going to give up on my dream. Please just stop. I ain't that weak. Please move on because I have. Thank you. Next. Oh, and she looked fire in this photo, right? Fire. So here's what else she had to say. Just because the dating life is complicated. Well, she said that. I just read that. So someone responded to her on Twitter saying, this is an emotional response. Stay grounded, love. And Tia was like, no, boo-boo. And she literally said, no, boo-boo. I'm not being extra. This is my response to stop narratives being said about me. Like you. Don't speak on my behalf. Thank you. You are not me. So just stop, please. Then someone else followed it up and said, that's a lot to say, especially at 6 a.m. I would never address this publicly. And I know we all handle things in our own way. But God dog, I would be too focused on my life and my kids to comment on my ex-husband, their father. Tia was like, I'm no longer allowing the lies and the blogs to create false information. I create the narrative, not you for clickbait. And oh, by the way, I'm in Europe, so it is not 6 o'clock in the morning there. Slight flex on them, Tia. I'm not mad at her. Listen, you can understand that there was a point in the relationship that it was good. You can respect what you guys had, how we evolved to that point, and still not to go back to it. The whole point is to grow and evolve together, and sometimes you don't. And you have the option that because she's talked about how she kind of felt like the marriage was over for a second before they actually got to that point where they discussed it and then moved on. And that's usually what happens. And look, you got to do what's best for you. Tia don't seem to be tripping. She's out there looking fine, giving her fashion with her slightly awkward black girl self, or biracial girl, because, I know some people get really sensitive about that. However, Tia made it very clear in this post that she's black and will clap back at you. But what we're going to do is we're going to listen to what got this started to begin with.
How hard is it in the dating world now?
Oh my God!
What is it like out there for a single woman?
Do we have a shot of tequila? No. No,
I haven't been single for 5 years, so I don't know what this world is like out there. But I know, but from what I see and from what I hear, it is tough.
It is very tough, and it is exhausting.
It's exhausting.
I want to throw the towel in. Someone had told me, and I wanted to be like, no, I disagree with you, and I don't want to believe it. My last relationship, when dating was, when I was, dating this person, it was beautiful. It was amazing. It was wonderful. There was courting that was, involved. And I was saying how I feel like that's no longer, present, meaning like people just don't court each other anymore. And this person was like, well, that's old news. Like people just don't do that anymore. There's just this whole new way of doing.
So listen, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought she was just explaining her position. And people want so badly to place you in a box or to make you feel like if you're divorced or you're not married, that it's the worst thing in the world that can happen for a woman. You were unclaimed. You were out in the world. No man wants you. And now you're going to be out there single forever. Maybe, but so, as long as you're happy. We'll get more into Tia and Jada Pinkett Smith saying that she wanted to be on this earth less and less when she turned 40. All that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin Ultra Strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, yeah, drop it. Okay. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose America.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So in short order, respect Tia's gangster, allow her to cook, and it is okay to reflect back on something that had good moments, good times, and just didn't work out. That's life sometimes, and you don't have to be bitter about it. Everything doesn't have to be not acknowledging that there were some good points, even though it's over. Like, I think that is, a really sad approach to take to things. That's not realistic, in my opinion, but you do what you want. Also want to acknowledge that the 10-year anniversary of the Crenshaw album, Nip, since Ant just mentioned it. Give us some applause. We like that. Just passed. So shout out to Nip. That was a game changer. That was the pay to play, right? So listen, we know what he did with that. You can talk about Nip all day, but just wanted to give that acknowledgement and say we still miss you. We're still waiting for somebody else to set it up in the same way that you did, Nip. And hopefully it'll happen. There's potential. Side note, I heard Shoreline Mafia is getting back together. They got, linked up on stage at a show. That's some deep LA stuff. Which is surprising, but there are some cuts. I was introduced to them randomly. See, Andy, people can put me on to stuff and I'll take it in. I really liked them. I didn't know that they broke up. I was wondering what happened. I don't even know why or where they came from. I just know that they have some songs that I really appreciate. And, you probably wouldn't expect me to appreciate them, but I do. Anyway, let us get into Jada Pinkett Smith. As we mentioned, Worthy is coming out in a couple of months. That is her autobiography. And she's been dropping some excerpts sharing some things on social media. She shared a snippet with people, and she basically talked about wanting to be on the earth less and less because she wasn't happy. She wasn't fully living it out. She said she knows how it looked from the outside, the beautiful family, the superstar husband, the lavish lifestyle, but she said she put on a brave face for 2 decades battling depression. She also says that, her journey to reclamation, as she puts it, began with hitting a mental health bottom and a chance encounter in her kitchen and getting help from a surprising source. She said that basically she was feeling crazy, that her mind was so focused on getting there, it was now suddenly betraying her. She said that the scariest part was whether she lived or died was in someone else's hands. I guess she had some type of incident where she began to have some type of kind of panic attack, she was driving. Anyway, she said that the lack of control explained how she was feeling in general. That you are peaceful, you are beautiful. These are the things she was trying to tell herself. Why are you so scared? And she said herself answered right back, what if this actually kills me? So her then response was, well, what if it doesn't? She said, for 2 decades, I put on a good face, going with the flow, telling everyone I was okay. Yet underneath, bouts of depression and overwhelming hopelessness had smoldered until they turned into a raging hellfire in my broken heart. Unwelcome feelings of not deserving love made it harder to understand the disconnection between the so-called perfect life I had achieved and the well of loss that she carried within her. Therapy helped up to a point. It got her to 40, but to what end? She said she would later be diagnosed and informed that she suffered from complex trauma combined with PTSD and disassociation. But she said without that guidepost, she was a chronic mess with no fix, no possibility to heal. And every morning was like waking up and walking the plank of doom. Could I make it to 4 p.m.? Could I survive the day? I always wanted to sleep, but I never slept well. My children could put a smile on my face. They were my only motivation to keep me going. But more and more, I could feel like myself losing a grip. So that's just a short bit. There's much more to it. And I know people say, again, Jada overshares, Gabby overshares. Why do we need to know this stuff? But people have spent the better part of 2 decades talking about the Smiths' marriage, if it was an open marriage. As of late, Jada is humiliating Will. All of these different things. Why should they not be allowed to speak on their own situation and present it as they see fit? You have the choice whether you check in or not, whether you read the book, the excerpts, watch the little videos. You have a choice in that. And so if you feel like they are oversharing or that their message isn't for you, bypass it by all means. But I think it's kind of crazy to say that. And again, I do understand people can overshare, but in touching on areas that people had so much to say about these women, why can't they give you a little more insight into what was really going on then and to how they were feeling? People talk a lot about Jada and what she should have been, but depression hits for a lot of different reasons. And so her moving through that and still trying to maintain her family, still trying to maintain the Hollywood image, it should be commended, because we all fake it till we make it at times when we are going through rough moments, and we keep pushing through with a smile on our face just because we don't know how to address the world with our issues, and we don't even know if we want to, because as we see, the world is not always kind when they feel like you are in a position where you shouldn't have any problems. Money covers everything. That's what a lot of people think. So shout out to Jada. As I said, I will be reading that book. I do want to see what she has to say, and not just about Pac. That story, as far as some people, has changed or evolved. I'm just curious to see what she addresses and what she talks about with it. She's going to primarily focus on when they were kids, teens in Baltimore, going to school. She's going to talk about where she was at with the 90s. I just want to see how she preferenced that. But that's not my only interest in it. Jada has always been someone that has been very outspoken, sort of seemingly sure of herself from an early age. We saw that clip where she was on BET's Teen Summit, bringing it to Eazy-E, letting him know that she felt like they as rappers were being disrespectful. We've seen her through the years speak out and speak up. So I'm just really interested in what she has to say. And regardless as to what people are saying, they're interested too, right? They want to know. So we'll see sooner than later. Anyway, I just want us to have, I guess we do. She's a star. She's a celebrity. Red Table Talk. I guess we extend empathy, but sometimes it just seems like that the assumption that just because someone is rich, and I know it's because a lot of us can't imagine ever being in the financial positions that they find themselves in, where you don't have to worry about your day-to-day, your living situation. It seems trivial, I guess, to some to get caught up in matters of the heart or, friendship questions or things of that nature. But as we are becoming more in tune into as far as mental health and what it does to us in our interactions, I think a little bit of sharing is nice. I like it. Just a little bit. Listen, you have been locked in for a great night, a lot of conversation. There's a couple of other stories that I wanted to get to that we really couldn't, but best believe, there is a long week with a lot of hours, so we have more to talk about. Really quickly, I just want to mention, Smokey Robinson, he released an album called Gasms not too long ago, and one of the singles is called I Fit In There. I Fit In There. Smokey is 83 years old. Smokey is still Mr. Take Your Girl at 83. Album called Gasms. Single, I Fit In There. I'm just saying, you could do it at any age. Maybe Drake will come back at 83 with something like that. I could see it happening, right? I could see it happening. We don't know. Make sure you are locked in this week because we have a couple of interviews coming up for you. More stories. We're going to talk about a WNBA suit against the team that is currently in the finals, the Aces, and get into some details around that. We're also going to talk about some comments that Vivica Fox had about her friendships with women. And we have an interview with Vivica about her directorial debut. We'll get into that tomorrow. But thank you, VIPs, for locking in. When you come forward, you will hear the best of KBLA. Thank you for rocking out to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Have an amazing night.